Revenge films.
My name is Steve. I'm 28 years old and work full-time at an izakaya pub. The place I work is at a yakitori restaurant run by a major restaurant chain with locations all over Japan, popular especially among young people. Right now, I'm working hard in the kitchen, but I've always had a goal deep inside me to open my own yakitori restaurant overseas. When I was a kid, my father often took me to a local yakitori place, and I've never forgotten the taste of the yakitori I had there. Ever since then, I've wanted people all over the world to know that flavor. My passion for yakitori has never faded, and even as an adult, that dream hasn't changed. I became a full-time employee at the izakaya pub because I wanted to train and master yakitori, and every day still feels like a learning experience. I have an older brother named Kevin who's 4 years older than me, and he's always been competitive, constantly trying to one-up me. About a year after I started working at the izakaya, he quit his previous job and got hired at the head office of the same restaurant chain. Since he graduated from a decent university, he easily passed the interview even as a mid-career hire. Ever since then, every time we met, he would say things like, "Aren't you embarrassed working part-time at your age?" Even though he knows I'm a full-time employee. He says it just to get under my skin, and I honestly find him unbearable. His taunting only got worse. One day, when he came to inspect my restaurant, he humiliated me in front of a bunch of staff members, saying, "Hey there, 28-year-old virgin!" I was too stunned by his childishness to respond, and then he started criticizing my yakitori. "What's this? Overcooked? You plan to serve this to customers? I'll have to report this to the president," he said, pretending to take notes. He kept nitpicking everything I did, and it was annoying as hell. But no matter what he says, I don't let it bother me because the president is my mentor. In fact, the president used to be the manager of the yakitori shop my father took me to when I was a kid. Back then, he was just a hired manager, but his hard work was eventually recognized by the company, and by the time I applied for a job, he had become the president. When I saw him at the interview, I was shocked, and so was he. "You're that kid from back then? What a coincidence," he said, happily recognizing me. Even after I was hired, the president looked out for me and personally taught me how to grill yakitori. To repay his kindness, I've been doing everything I can to master my craft. "He's my #1 apprentice." Then he began taking me out for drinks. No one else at the company knows about our relationship, so my brother completely looks down on me. His snide remarks aren't limited to work. They continue even when we meet at our parents' house. One day, on my day off, I went to visit home and found my brother's family there. My brother's wife, Natalie, and their 8-year-old son, Henry, were with him. My sister-in-law is just as troublesome as my brother, and my nephew is even worse. She believes in no discipline parenting, so no matter what Henry does, she never scolds him. Because of that, he's turned into a brat who can't tell right from wrong. That day, as soon as he saw me, he shouted, "Ew! It's the gross old man!" Then he pointed a paint gun at me. Then my brother said, "Get the gross old man!" And my sister-in-law burst out laughing. I stood there stunned as Henry fired the paint gun at me. The shot hit perfectly, staining my clothes pink and splattering paint all over the walls and floor. When I shouted, "What do you think you're doing?" my sister-in-law snapped.
Hey, don't you yell at Henry like that. He's just a kid. Don't crush his curiosity.
Furious, I said nothing and walked out of the house, heading straight home. I was angry that my clothes were ruined, but I knew talking to my brother and his wife was pointless, so I forced myself to calm down alone. A month later, I got news at work that I was being promoted, and the president took me out to our usual izakaya to celebrate. He encouraged me to drink, but since I had to move to a new location the next day, I decided not to and just enjoyed the food. On the way back, I offered to drive the president home in his car. However, he said he'd forgotten something at the office, so we stopped by the head office. As I watched him walk into the building, my brother happened to show up and, seeing the president's luxury car, said, "Why are you here?" It was the first time I'd seen him since the incident with Henry, and I didn't want to even look at his face, so I ignored him. After I dropped the president off at his house, he told me I could take the car home as thanks. When I said, "I really can't, that's too much," the president replied, "Don't worry, I'll pick it up tomorrow since it's my day off." So I decided to take him up on the offer. I had already moved out of my apartment, so that night I planned to stay at my parents' house. The president's home was only a 15-minute walk from my parents', so he waved and said he'd come by to get the car himself for some exercise. The next day, I headed to the airport early in the morning and arrived at my new workplace by evening. After checking into the hotel I'd reserved, my phone suddenly rang. It was my sister-in-law. As soon as I answered, she said with a laugh,
Hey, Henry drew on your fancy car with his paint gun. But he's just a kid.
I replied, "That's strange. I just moved overseas, and I don't even have a car in Japan." She said,
Huh? Overseas?
In fact, I'd been recognized by the head office and appointed as the manager of a new yakitori restaurant opening in Hawaii, so I had relocated there. I'd asked the president to keep it a secret from my brother, who always tried to one-up me, so naturally my sister-in-law didn't know either. When I asked her to describe the car, I immediately realized it was the president's. Apparently, my brother had stopped by our parents' house by chance, mistaken the president's car for mine, and told his wife. Out of jealousy, she told my nephew to shoot it with the paint gun. The president's car ended up covered in paint. When I had my brother come to the phone and told him the car actually belonged to the president, he panicked and said, "You've got to be kidding me!" My sister-in-law then admitted that Henry had also thrown rocks and scratched it with a stick, leaving it beyond repair. Hearing that, I immediately called the president. The president rushed to my parents' house, and as soon as he saw the car, he called the police. My brother and his wife were taken in for questioning. My sister-in-law apparently tried to excuse herself by saying,
It was just something a child did.
But of course that didn't work. After that, my brother was fired by the furious president and ordered to pay for the damages. The president's car was a luxury vehicle worth $134,000, so my brother and his wife had to go into debt to cover the cost. Since my brother owned a house, he couldn't keep up with the loan payments and ended up declaring bankruptcy, turning to our parents for help. However, because of the trouble with the police, our parents were so angry that they refused to let him in. With nowhere to go, the three of them started sleeping in a park. I heard that my brother is desperately looking for a job while living in the park, but hasn't had any luck yet. So it seems they'll be homeless for a while. As hunger and frustration set in, my sister-in-law and nephew began taking out their anger on him, and their family fell apart. As for me, after becoming a manager in Hawaii, my yakitori restaurant became popular for its delicious flavor, and I've been busy giving magazine interviews and appearing on TV. To make my dream of sharing yakitori with people around the world come true, I'm determined to work hard in Hawaii first. By the way, since the president fired my brother, I've come to admire him even more. Every time I return to Japan, I make sure to visit him, and he always welcomes me with a big smile. He's truly the best mentor I could ever ask for. It's thanks to him that I was able to move forward and chase my dream. And I've vowed never to forget my gratitude and to keep grilling yakitori the way he taught me, no matter where I go.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.